What's up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Jacob and Me podcast show. I'm gonna do that like.
Are we
every
back
time.
in like the 1960s now?
No, that's not my best, but I could definitely do better.
This is true.
It's just an exaggeration of it. But anyways, if you didn't know what the Jacob and Me podcast show is, it's where me and my best friend here, my
Words. Sorry.
Jesus. It's where me and my best friend here, Jacob Bullard, talk about anything and everything about video games, movies,
Everything.
TV shows, and stuff that comes out this week, and all the stuff that we like to jerk off to. Plus, we like to talk about some sports in our undrafted segment, which we got another one, 2 in a row this week.
Wow.
And then we take a stroll down Pennsylvania Avenue with some This Week in History. And we have an interesting topic that's literally just broke to this morning.
I did not hear about it until this morning.
Okay, well, I just
And
looked
you
at
did not hear about it until I told you
yeah,
about
and then I looked at my Facebook feed, and there's a bunch of it.
it. Okay.
And we're going to get to that at the very end. But before we get to that, I am the host, Richard Rodillo, joined by the man with the noggin, Jacob Bullard. How you doing, Jacob?
I'm doing good.
You doing good?
Had a good weekend. Watched a lot of soccer.
Mm-hmm.
Watched some World Series games.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good sports weekend. There were except for the Galaxy missing the playoffs because they suck. But there were, I think, 5 major games in LA on Sunday or something.
Yeah, I saw a tweet
They
like
called
that.
it sports apocalypse or
Yeah, because the Rams played, Dodgers played,
the
Galaxy played, Kings played.
I think it was UCLA, right? Oh no, that wouldn't have been on Sunday.
That's
Who was-
football.
then it was probably Lakers or Clippers.
The Clippers.
Yeah, so pretty crazy day around
Yeah.
these parts, this neck of the woods.
Right? No, wait. It was 5 teams that played in LA, maybe?
No, yeah, it was. They were all home games, so it was crazy in LA.
So the
And it was LA Comic Con this week.
the Kings and no, it was Long Beach.
No, it was. I was there this weekend.
Oh, it was LA?
It was LA Comic Con.
Okay. No, so the Kings played again, or they played? With
I'm pretty sure it was 5 teams. I don't remember what the 5 teams were. We're getting unnecessarily derailed by.
You're derailing me because it's hurting my head.
I'm sorry.
Anyways, sorry. So we're gonna get into the podcast. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. That was our rant or housekeeping rant or whatever you want to call it. I apologize, but we're gonna get into some new releases. We're gonna have some fun. We've added some new elements to this, as we do every week.
We have.
So, young man, let us get into it.
There are 2 movies of note coming out this Friday, which is November 2nd. The first of which being the much anticipated Bohemian Rhapsody. Obviously, by the title, I'm sure many people can guess what this movie is about. But word on the street is that you would like your own plot, your own synopsis.
So this is coming from what's the generation after us? Gen Y.
I guess, yeah.
So this is coming from a Gen Y perspective.
Yikes.
So this is a story about a little boy that goes on an adventure.
Sorry. The first thing that popped in my head when you said this is a story was the Fresh Prince, but I thought you were gonna do some sort of Fresh Prince thing, but in that voice, and it threw me off. Sorry, continue.
Where he goes and his parents are killed, so he has to go to a foster
Dark turn
home.
quick.
Yes, this is how the movie starts, sir.
Okay, all
All
right.
right, you're interrupting me now.
Sorry.
And then he's adopted by a household in urban America, let's say Chicago. And then it's a kid that was never troubled or whatnot before, and then he meets gang members and stuff, and then he joins the gang Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh no.
And becomes
So why would this movie be made? What is the purpose of this movie?
to show how hard it is out on to be out on the streets.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
That's quite the gang name, Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah.
What do you think the history of that name is?
Well, it was actually.
Is that their theme song?
It was 2 gangs
Oh.
at first.
Oh, merger.
So one was on Bohemian and the other was on Rhapsody. And they just happen to be right across the street from each other.
They're like, hey, you got a gang, we got a gang, super gang. Bohemian Rhapsody. Is this the real life?
Guess who the rival gang is?
Do I even want to know? What is it?
We are the champions.
Oh, no.
It's pronounced that way, but it's not spelt like we are the champions.
It's because the rest of the people didn't pay their dues. All right. That was pretty good. Movie number 2. Obviously, let me go back, I guess, to Bohemian Rhapsody, obviously, on a serious note, is like a biopic of, I guess it kind of focuses on Freddie Mercury, but is like a Queen biopic of like their rise, I suppose.
It's also a reunion of Rami Malek, and then I forgot the guy from the Pacific, but he's also the little kid in the original Jurassic Park.
Oh, okay.
Really? Yeah, it's a reunion kind of because they were in the Pacific together.
Okay.
Where he was the lead, and then Rami was like the supporting.
Okay. So that hits theaters this Friday. As it sounds like there's thunder outside, but it's probably not thunder because it's blue sky.
Yeah.
The second movie this week, also on Friday, November 2nd, is called... You're going to have too much fun with this. It's called The Nutcracker and the Four Realms.
So this is a story of a soldier in World War I, where he gets sent to 4 different dimensions, and how he has to get to the next dimension from the other is he has to take the boss man's nuts and crack them. And as he does it, he gets transported immediately to the next one, and then he has to do it again.
He has to start all over.
Yeah.
So what's the goal here? What is
the goal? So his nuts don't get cracked. I'm sorry, dude.
Okay.
Yeah. That's it.
This is a remake of the classic Disney kid-friendly tale.
It, damn.
There is a soldier in it, however. So let me read you the synopsis off of IMDb. So this is young Clara needs a magical one-of-a-kind key to unlock a box that contains a priceless gift. A golden thread leads her to the coveted key, but it soon disappears into a strange and mysterious parallel world. So there's your other dimension there. In that world, she meets a soldier, trapped in that other dimension perhaps, named Philip, a group of mice, and the regents who preside over 3 realms. Clara and Philip must now enter a 4th realm to retrieve the key and restore harmony to the unstable land.
I always hear like a bad rap on the play version of this because it's extremely long, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Which is understandable because it's a play or a musical play, I'm guessing.
Mm-hmm.
I would never want to go to them, but I think they revised it, I guess, to make it not boring, but it's still boring apparently. But this is like the stuff you just hear from like secondhand. Yeah. So some people don't have good taste, which is unfortunate.
This is true.
This is America. All right.
So this movie, I guess, is somewhat anticipated, but early reviews so far are questionable at best. It's kind of getting mediocre scores. Bohemian Rhapsody is kind of in a weird spot. Almost not quite as bad as Venom was, but a lot of people, I think, a lot of critics have been disappointed with it, but regular folks who have seen it so far have enjoyed it, which is definitely what happened to Venom like a couple weeks ago, where like it got like destroyed in the like Rotten Tomatoes reviews and stuff like that. But everyone who sees that movie seems to at least have enjoyed themselves. So that is.
But yeah, the Nutcracker has like a big like cast though too. It has like Keira Knightley, I think Morgan Freeman's in it.
Okay.
I forgot her name. She's like a British actress that's acted before. Her name's not popping up. She's a little bit older, on the older side.
The lead actress is Mackenzie Foy.
Never heard of her.
Morgan Freeman is in this movie. I do not see Keira Knightley, however. but maybe she has just a smaller role. Helen Mirren is in this movie.
There you go. Helen Mirren.
Okay.
She's in this.
She definitely has acted before.
Yes. No, I meant like she's. I just don't know her name. I just recognize her face.
I know. It was just funny because like it's like saying Meryl Streep has acted before.
I wanted to say she was like a lower level Meryl Streep, but I didn't want to insult her because I think she's.
I would just say she's the British Meryl Streep.
I feel like Meryl Streep is British.
Helen Mirren played the Queen. Like that's like as British as it gets.
I think Meryl Streep would have been a better queen, but
I mean, maybe I guess. But Helen Mirren's a good actress.
I didn't say she was.
She's like a very accomplished actress.
I just say she wasn't.
Okay, whatever. Anyway, so yeah, The Nutcracker and the Four Realms and Bohemian Rhapsody coming out this Friday, November 2nd. If you're interested, go check them out.
I just watched the Queen Live Aid. It was just on YouTube. It popped up, and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna watch this for 24 minutes."
It's pretty intense.
It's pretty good.
It's a lot of people there. Yeah.
Someone say it would be like the best like live performance, but that's like your preference, I guess.
Yeah. I personally am not normally that big of a fan of live. Like I collect records, but I don't buy live albums.
Well, you have Kiss Alive, so
I do have Kiss Alive. That's probably one of like 3 to 4 live albums that I have.
I just like the character and the grittiness of live performances. But when you listen to like how they played live, it's almost exactly what it sounds like when it was recorded. Like very similar quality. Yeah. But anyways, let's keep moving.
Nothing in the world of video games this week. Nothing interesting. We're obviously going to be getting into last week's big release here shortly. But before we get to that, there are 2 new series of note starting this week in television land. The first of which is a series called Homecoming. This is Julia Roberts' very first television series that she has ever done. It premieres Friday, November 2nd on Amazon Prime. I believe, I should have looked it up, but I believe the premise of this is it's like a, not like AA, but like a group setting or like a group meeting for soldiers and service men and women who have returned. And so like it's about like helping them transition, I think, into like normal civilian life.
I felt like she's done TV before, but apparently not.
In the commercial that they have for this, it says that it is her first like television series. Yeah, like her she probably appeared like a one-off, like a cameo or something like that. It's kind of weird how actresses like some start and move straight into movies, and some start in like I guess TV shows. Yeah, and then never go back to TV shows, or do movies and then go to TV shows and never go back to movies. That's weird, I guess. But just the way I guess it. So this currently has a 94% on Rotten Tomatoes. There's a couple I guess it's just like a 1-sentence synopsis. It says a caseworker at a facility that helps soldiers transition back to civilian life leaves to start a new life, living with her mother and working as a small town waitress. So I guess it's kind of I presume it's going to be kind of the like duality of like her helping other people and then like her trying to figure out her own thing, or like allowing people to help her figure out her own transition sort of thing. So that starts this Friday. And also starting this Friday, the final season of The House of Cards on Netflix. Obviously there was a big question probably this time like a year ago as to whether or not this season would ever even happen after everything that went down with Kevin Spacey. They've already confirmed that they've killed him off just based on the trailers that they've put out for this final season. And then I totally had it and then completely blanked on the actress's name who plays Claire Underwood. Jenna. Right, yeah. I almost had it. Robin Wright is the actress's name. So she's now the lead. She's become president now because she was vice president in the last season, and I'm assuming it's going to be some sort of like assassination or I don't know. It could be like health related. I'm not sure what the death is related to, but they did kill off Kevin Spacey's character. But this is going to be the end of the series. This is probably the series that like brought Netflix on the map for like their own content. Yeah, it was I think it was the first thing that was ever produced that they did, and it was in the works for a long time too beforehand. Because then Orange the New Black was like right after, basically, but after those seasons have gone through, hasn't been as critically acclaimed as it was when it originally started. Right. Yeah. So one show starting up and one show coming to a close this Friday. And I believe that both of these will, like, the whole season will be available straight off the bat.
Yeah. I watched Daredevil this week. I only think I have like 2 more episodes left.
Are you liking it?
It's all right.
I hate you.
It's not as good as like the first 2 seasons.
You're on crack.
I definitely like this the one shot take that they did in the prison. That was pretty sick. But other than that, it was just like, man, it's pretty good.
Sure. I disagree, but whatever. We talked. You guys know my thoughts on the
We talked about this last week.
3rd season of Daredevil. Yeah, we did talk about this last week. I think it is the single best season anything Netflix has put out.
Sure.
I really enjoyed it.
Sure.
Okay. So that is it for new releases. As I said, nothing. Normally we do have a video game segment here, but nothing significant being released. There are a couple Switch titles. There's a Lego.
Didn't like
there's a Harry Potter movie.
Requiem came out?
If it did, I didn't see it on the list,
Those.
or I skipped it on accident.
Those.
There's like Lego Harry Potter
Harry
stuff
Potter?
coming out. Yeah. Some other smaller titles on Switch and in like the Xbox little shop and stuff like that. So,
Dust.
but nothing big.
Nothing that tickles your pickle.
Si, senor.
Let's keep moving. Ow.
Got him.
We are going to transition to something that I was hoping that I was going to get up to the next weekend, or was going to be able to make it to this upcoming weekend, but it didn't, fortunately, because I like watching series get intense and stuff. But last week, our undrafted opinion segment was on the World Series, and it's starting. As of right now, it has already ended. Last Sunday, right?
Yes.
So today is October 30th, and we've already done that segment already. And what we've found out is that the Boston Red Sox have won the series 4-1 to the Los Angeles Dodgers of Los Angeles.
That's a good place for them, the Los Angeles Dodgers of Los Angeles.
At
At least it's not the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. That sucks as a name.
Yeah.
Sorry, continue.
But anyways, as we found out,
Sorry, Josh was texting me. I kind of blanked out.
wow, he texted you back. The Boston Red Sox won in almost a sweep. They made a big gamble on Game 3, which didn't seem like it might have not paid off to pitch all those guys. And then we were just waiting for like 2.5 innings of just people trying to tee off and hit a home run, and it eventually happened. And then game 4? No. Yeah, 4. Boston kind of, or the last 2 games basically of the series, it just cruised, it seemed like. And the Dodgers couldn't really offer anything, just offensively. I mean, they scored a couple runs, but just you couldn't really do anything about Boston scoring runs. Because it was like, it almost went to extra innings the next game, and then 8-4 finish, I believe.
9-6.
Or 9-6 what's when I checked it last time, for what I remember.
It was 9-4 going into the bottom of the 9th, and then someone hit a 2-run. Kike Hernandez, I think it was, hit a 2-run home run, and then it finished 9-6.
Yeah, and then the last game you had Kershaw versus Price. Price pitched a pretty good game, and Sale closed it off for them and won the series. I don't know what the Dodgers could have done differently besides that one. Who did they take out? Like, even Trump tweeted about it. He's like a pitcher out. I forgot who it was.
They took Rich Hill out.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was a little bit of controversy around it because Dave Roberts, there was just, I guess, kind of confusion among the press and such about like what actually happened there, because Rich Hill just like gave him the ball, and like when Dave Roberts had said that when he walked out there, like he wasn't 100% sure that he was gonna pull him, but like Rich Hill like met him at the bottom of the mound and like gave him the ball straight away or whatever. And before the inning, he said that Rich Hill told him to like keep an eye on him or whatever. So like I'm not really sure what like happened there exactly. It in hindsight, hindsight's 20/20. I think that leaving him in definitely could have changed the outcome, because after Rich Hill came out in Game 4, the Dodgers had 7 pitchers, in the rest of that game, and every single one of them gave up at least one earned run. And Rich Hill had been pitching very well up until that point. In fact, I don't think the Red Sox had even scored yet. I don't remember exactly. In any case, like the bullpen threw the game away.
Yeah.
Kind of culminating with the bases clearing double by Steve Pearce in the top of the ninth. So it was something that, one of those little tweaks that perhaps could have changed the outcome of at least that game and perhaps the series. I was surprised at the Red Sox ability to recover from that 18-inning game because they were left with Nathan Eovaldi so early. I mean, he pitched almost 100 pitches, I think, because he was the last pitcher that they had left besides Sale.
Basically pitched the rest of or another game.
Right. Yeah. He did. For the most, he probably pitched at least like the last 7 or so innings of that game, and with I thought at the time that was the sort of loss for the Red Sox that could completely turn the World Series, because just like the tax that that Alex Cora put on his bullpen, and then to lose the game in the manner that they did, just seems like it would have been like super demoralizing, and like the extra pitches that everyone threw that game, including most of their starters as well. Like I think David Price pitched in that game.
Yeah, I think he gave up the one to the no. Who gave up the home run against? That was in the beginning. Wasn't Hernandez that hit the home run in the beginning of the game? That game. I believe. Kike.
I thought it was Cody Bellinger, but I could be wrong.
So one of them, and then. Obviously Bradley Jr.'s hit a home run, and then the 2 errors that basically led to the next 2 runs that made it go to the 18th. And then Moonsey obviously had another chance before he hit that home run.
He just missed the foul pole.
Yeah.
In his previous about 3 innings or so earlier. But yeah, I think on the whole, the Red Sox recovered well from that long 18-inning game. David Price pitched out of his mind in Game 5. Kershaw got touched up for I think 4 in Game 5, so he kind of continues that trend, and he also has an opt-out at the end of this year, so it'll be interesting to see the direction that he goes. He put out a tweet after the game, which I 100% agree with, but he said that it basically that it sucks to make it that far just to finish second and win that many games and try as hard as they did just to come in second place, and that he almost wishes that they would have just not made the playoffs. That it would have been easier than losing in the way that they did. And this is the second straight year that the Dodgers have lost in the World Series. So Dave Roberts, their manager, is out of contract now. Kershaw can opt out. Brian Dozier is out of contract now. Manny Machado is a free agent now. So there could be a whole lot of change in LA this offseason. As far as the Red Sox are concerned, I don't think they have any big free agency coming up. They thoroughly deserve this World Series win. They were the team with the best record.
Best team all season, too.
Yeah. And as I said in our preview before, I thought that their starting pitching would be what carried them through. That I would have taken Kershaw over Sale, but I would have taken everyone else in the Red Sox starting lineup or starting pitching over the Dodgers. I think Rich Hill stood out to me in this game or in this series, but for the Dodgers. But overall,
I thought Walker Buehler had a good outing too.
Yeah,
it's unfortunate after Jansen came in and gave up that home run, you kind of just forgot his performance in the beginning of that game.
Yeah. So yeah. Congratulations to the Red Sox. I'm glad that I don't live in proximity to them because I hate them just as much as I do the Dodgers. But they live on the other side of the country, so I don't really care that they won the World Series. And yeah, I guess I don't really know what else to say. The Dodgers keep coming really close, and I think that it was a good accomplishment. Well, I don't know. You can look at it 2 ways. Either the Dodgers underperformed in the regular season and just squeaked in the playoffs, or they weren't actually that great of a team but came out of the National League anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So you can take that as you may. But yeah, I think it was a really entertaining World Series. Except I would say that 18-inning game kind of dragged a little bit because it went like a full 9 innings without anyone basically hitting or scoring or anything.
Yeah.
So.
Well, like I said, for sure the last 2.5 innings, basically every batter was trying to hit a home run, and then because you saw Evaldi get through like it took him like a whole set to get back to Muncy after he hit that foul ball, or full set of 3 like rotation I guess of innings. But I enjoyed that 18-inning game. I was like, man, who's gonna hit this home run, man? Who's gonna hit this home run? But it's unfortunate though. I wanted to go to like at least 6 or 7, but I still don't think the Dodgers just had. I think it was the lack of. I think the pitching was decent. It just when you go against the Red Sox, I think giving up that amount of runs is like normal, but when you can't really produce on the offensive side, it kind of hurts you, obviously, like that. And yeah, like Manny Machado, just didn't seem like he showed up for much of the series. There's like getting the high and in like fastball where he just basically pops up like almost every time. I know that 18 inning game, like Betts and who's the guy that batted after him? Bogart like combined for like 1 for 12 or something like that, or 1 for 14.
Yeah, it was really that whole game there was I think a point in this series, starting with that game 3, where the Dodgers pitching held Mookie, Xander Bogaerts, JD Martinez, and Mitch Moreland, I think, or something like that. Like the 1 through 4 in the Boston lineup was like 0 for their last 30 at one point.
Yeah.
So like basically this Red Sox team, as good as they were all season, like throughout their lineup, they won their World Series like 5 or 6 through 9 in the order. Like Steve Pearce had like he got the World Series MVP. Like he had a really great World Series. I'm blanking on the catcher's name. I want to say Suarez, but I don't think that's right.
Vasquez,
right. So like he was like basically a 200 hitter all year and like hit up in the like 260s in the World Series. So like they got like a lot of production from the bottom half of their order, and that combined with the big difference in the Dodgers bullpen, it turned out, where like against the Brewers in the NLCS they were completely lights out. But like Kenley Jansen, for example, I'd say Kenley Jansen and Kenta Maeda were like the big holes in this bullpen in the World Series. I think it was games 3, 4, and 5. Kenley Jansen gave up a home run in all 3 of those, I think, because it was like Jackie Bradley, the 3-run home run for Mitch Moreland, I think, and something else. I think he gave up like home runs in 3 consecutive games, and then Kenta Maeda also struggling coming out of the bullpen. So it was just unexpected problems for I think where their main problems came was not where we expected them to come from, and where the Red Sox production was not where we expected it to come from. So it made for an entertaining World Series, and I guess on to next year.
Yep. That's it. That's it. Let us know if you are really mad with the Dodgers loss or you're really happy that the Red Sox won. And also let us know where Manny Machado is going to be next year. That'd be cool to know, because I have no idea either.
I don't know that he can afford that he will end up back at the Dodgers.
No, I don't think so too, because you have Turner at third, and then you have Seager coming back.
Yeah, not Kyle Seager, Corey Seager.
Yeah, and then Kike, it might be the second baseman, but he rotates into the outfield as well, so they have a lot of options. It's just going to see where it all lands, I guess.
I think they're going to lose. I think Yasmani Grandal is also a free agent, so
nope,
a lot of holes for the Dodgers this offseason.
Dun, 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 dun. Well, we're going to take a drive down Pennsylvania Avenue.
Question.
What?
Are we skipping Red Dead?
Oh, wait. Did we skip that?
Yeah.
My bad, dude. I'm sorry. Let's get to Red Dead. Jesus. Why didn't you say anything after the new releases?
I don't know. Honestly, I was reading Josh's text messages and I blanked out for a while. Okay. And then you started talking. You're talking about the World Series, and I just went with it.
Okay, we'll flip this. That's fine. I totally forgot about that. I'm sorry. No, because I was like, I thought we were done,
Oh,
but
that's all good.
because like you were reading it down here, that's what I was like. You know how stupid I am. But yeah, let's talk about that. Yeah, that's kind of important. That was kind of like the headline on this. Yes, Red Dead Redemption came out. What was the day? October
I was
26th.
gonna say, darn.
October 26th. But if you pre-ordered it, you played it that night before on the 25th.
Yes.
But yeah, let's get into it. What are you thinking so far? I guess I don't know. How do you want to start this?
Well, I don't know. I think you should probably go first, just because you're not as far as I am.
I mean, for me, I barely have. I don't think I've even scraped anything. I basically moved like one grain of sand and moved it to the other to the spot I have done.
Okay.
And as what I've played so far, I don't even remember, honestly. I'm still in the snow area.
Okay.
That's because not that I was busy. I just haven't had time to really try to play it. And sit down for like several hours and play it. I've only been able to get like an hour, half an hour in there. But so far, like just playing it, it's a slower game than I think. Not that what I expected, but slower in the sense of and different from the last Red Dead. Just like traveling from A to B is weird. So I'm like, can I just ride my horse? Like these are like not gripes, but they're just things I just want. Like maybe as a setting, I enjoy the cinematic thing, but I feel like I don't have control over that, I guess. But I like how it feels more linear than an open world game at first, I guess. If that makes any sense.
That portion of the game is fairly linear.
Yeah. So like that part is nice. The weird thing about it is like killing a lot of people already.
Okay, so you at this point you've probably already had like the shootout at the cabin.
Yeah. Oh, you passed that too.
Okay.
And that was the thing I was like really questioning. I was like, man, where do all these people come from? Like, I know we're like a gang and stuff, but it just felt weird. Maybe.
Well, like all those people in that cabin were a rival gang. Did you catch that?
Yeah. I know
Okay.
that. I know that. No, I'm talking about like the like a little outpost you took out too, or like where O'Driscoll, yeah, that guy, and then where his little encampment was.
Oh, okay.
There's like you get like a horde of people, and I was like, man, this
they're all the enemy.
I know, but this gang would have like totally destroyed us if they would have ambushed us like easy like that. But I guess that's why we did. That's why Dutch was like, "Hey, we gotta go get them first, man. Go." I was like, okay, that makes sense. But so yeah, so far the combat is fine. I have to get used to it too. That's like another thing where I'm like, I feel like, why am I so stupid? Like, why can't I haven't played Grand Theft Auto in a while too. So getting used to that is fine. There's like a conversation in like everything you do. And it's kind of insane on how detailed that is and why everything is said. When you go down from what you like, this one mission where you go up, you look at the peak and you're talking to Dutch, and then you go all the way down to like where you're actually going to do the mission after you outlook it. And like there's a whole conversation of you guys talking. And it's for like I said, from A to B in the cinematic view, like from A to B, there's a conversation. Like someone is talking, which is insane.
And there's even more option. Like sometimes with like the left trigger, you can like almost like continue the conversation with like different dialogue options as well to like change the way the conversation goes.
Yeah, but you know the combat is fine. I don't have any problems with the combat. It's like auto aim, simple. It's just getting used to like the camera. It's a lot. Like the sensitivity is not as fast as like Assassin's Creed. For sure. And it getting used to like the cover system. I know people have said like, oh, I've tried to go here and then like, it takes me to like a wall I don't want to go to. I understand that. Because the game just came out. Who knows if that's gonna be like patched? Like, I'm pretty sure it's just a thing that was not a day one patch, but it'll get fixed eventually. But by the time it gets fixed, you'll probably be done with the game. But I don't have a problem with any of that stuff. I don't really use the cover system as much as what I think I've used it for. I haven't used the Deadeye system at all because I kind of want to challenge myself. Um, but yeah, I mean the shooting. I had one like a little problem where the guy was shooting at me, and I have a rifle. He has a rifle, and he's hitting me, but like I'm like right on him with my dot, and I'm not hitting him at all. So I was like, that was a little frustrating, but that was just me being stupid. But other than that, it's crazy. Like going up, I thought like from what it was described to me on like when you loot someone, I thought you actually had to like go through each pocket or something like that. But you just press Y and you just go up. I'm like, well, it's just like regular looting.
Yeah, there was this weird before the game came out. There was this weird thing about like it being super, like the looting being super detailed or whatever. But like you literally just like hold a button like you used to.
I don't understand that.
So like the same thing. You just like kind of pats the guy down and like pick. Then like it shows him like picking something up and like putting it in his pocket or whatever.
It's definitely a game not made for impatient people. It's also not made for someone that likes fast-paced gameplay or combat, I guess. Even though at times it can get there, you just depends on the situation. The options to do certain things is interesting. I'm not gonna really want to explore it. I just really want to get through the game, I guess. Even though that option can probably benefit me in making my job easier, but I kind of just want to go like brute force with it. I'm not going to be like an assassin, like sneaking around and stuff, but you can't really do that for most of it. But other than that, I people complaining about being slow or not getting to certain things until later in the game. I just think that's I feel like it's a design to make people appreciate the game more, and it's also more thought out, and you kind of have to work to get kind of those things. And I've always kind of thought that in any kind of Rockstar game where you like Grand Theft Auto games where you start like a Grand Theft Auto 4, for example, where you start on like the one of the islands, you can't go to the other island because you haven't unlocked it yet. You haven't done enough missions to do it. And there's certain things on those islands that you'll be able to get and be able to use. That just makes sense to me, and I don't understand why people are complaining about it. It's just like that kind of game design or game build up has been in the DNA for Rockstar games since I want to say probably Grand Theft Auto maybe 3 from what I remember. And I just don't get how people are complaining about that kind of stuff. Like, oh, I didn't get to fishing until I got to level like 20. I'm like, well, it's called leveling up, you idiot. And then the game's really in depth, obviously, too. I don't know how much I want to invest into the game, even though the game's great. It's a masterpiece for sure for me. I've already enjoyed it. I liked the ways a lot of people would describe it. Like I was telling you on the way from coming back from lunch on how someone described it was. It's a game that's like it's not really a video game. It's an experience versus like Assassin's Creed, which is like fun to play. It's a fun video game to play. This is a lot more. Like I said, it's more in depth. It's something that I think a lot of games have been missing, and that's a lot of attention to detail, which I can really appreciate. And I would be fine with other studios that I enjoy their games to kind of take this route and not drown out like the market was the stuff that they make. It'd be nice to see like an Ubisoft or I don't know what Activision makes that's similar to this, like a first person story like that. Like I think the next game that's going to be similar to this is probably going to be Cyberpunk.
Okay.
I don't think it'll be as long as in development, even though it's been in development for a while now. But to like the attention and detail that stuff you can do, I don't think there's going to be another game like this for a while. Or maybe I guess unless depending on like when Last of Us lands, because of Days Gone being pushed back. So depending on where that lands too. So I guess those are like the two games that you're going to be able to get. That's going to be anything close to like this, I guess.
Okay.
But yeah, that's all I really have to say that I know off the top of my head. It's really cool to see because I was talking to Josh when we went up when I saw him the other day, talking about like looking at John Marston, and I really regret not playing Red Dead Redemption 1 before this, just so I get more.
You never played Red Dead?
No, I did. I'm just saying playing it again.
Oh, playing it
to refresh myself.
Oh, okay.
And like he was like, "Oh, just watch the video." I was like, "Yeah, but it's not the same because there's like a lot of little things you could probably get from Red Dead that you're gonna get into this," and I'm kind of going to be disappointed in myself if I miss anything. like in a conversation, you're like, "Oh, do you remember this in Red Dead?" And then you got referenced in this game. And I'm like, "No."
I don't think I'll have that problem because, well, this is a prequel first off, so
Yeah.
none of that stuff has happened yet. And
Well, yeah, I know.
I think that where you might miss is like maybe subtle things in like conversations as you're like hunting down each of the members of the gang. And because like the very first like fort, like you're they like shoot you, like how you meet the woman at the farm or whatever, McFarland Ranch. Like you get shot up at the fort. You're confronting like one of the people, I forget his name, but like one of the people in the group that like is in the game right now is like one of the people that you're fighting at that fort that they shoot you and like leave you for dead. So like you might miss like some subtle things there, but I don't really expect there to be anything too big. For some reason it irks me that Jack is there. Because like I hated playing as him so much at the end of the first Red Dead. It's like I hate you, little kid.
I don't have a problem with Jack. So,
as far as the game is concerned, I think there are small technical things that bug me. I cannot even begin to contemplate how they put like the menu button as like changing the camera. I cannot tell you how many times I've hit that button trying to get to the map. And like it moves my camera, and I'm like, and then you have to cycle back the whole. Like, why is that not just an option in the menu, where like you set the camera to what you want, and the camera stays that way, and the menu button is the stupid map. That's all I want. I regularly leave things on my horse because like you don't carry everything. You have to like actually go select it off your horse and like pull it off. So like sometimes I get myself killed because like I forgot to grab my rifle, and so like here I am with like my little like Cattleman revolver, like trying to go through this whole fight and die, or sometimes I just get like jumped and get killed. I do really enjoy the like, especially the random interactions where you're just like riding down the road and someone's like flags you down for help or whatever. Just this morning I was playing and like there was this guy like trying to like calm his horse down or whatever, and he was like I guess trying to get something out of like the horse's shoe, out of the horseshoe. He was like grinding it or like scraping it clean or something, and like I stopped. And, like, I was like, hey, partner, you need some help with that? And he's like, oh, sure. And he, like, put the horse's leg down, and then the horse kicked him, and he died. Like, so literally, had I not said anything to that guy, he would have lived. But, like, I stopped and, like, asked him for help, and it, like, distracted him, and then the horse killed him. Like, on accident. Like, the horse kicked him, and he died.
Dosed.
So, like, there's, like, the, like, moment-to-moment. What?
Did you just loot him?
No, I left him. It's, like, the moment-to-moment things are, like, really good. I'm enjoying the, like, decision-making. I guess you haven't got to the end of the mountain one, so I guess I won't talk about that. But there are like there are many scenarios in the game where you get to like pick if someone lives or dies. So far my guy is like a gentleman to the ladies, but like there are no loose ends. So like there was one scene where it's like you have to chase this guy down, and he ends up like on a cliff. He's like a witness to something that you did, and you have to like chase him down, and like you can like he is holding on to like this edge of the cliff or whatever, and then like you can choose to like help him up or like let him fall. And so, you know, like no loose ends. So like I like stepped on his hands or whatever, and he like fell off the cliff.
I definitely have done that with the first mission where you go out and like look for like another cabin, and then like the gang is in there, and then the guy that jumps you just like gives you a choice, like, oh, what do you want to do with them? I'm like, check him out. No survivors.
So I'm not sure if what is unclear is if any of those decisions are gonna like affect later in the game. Because I don't think anything has come up like that. There are some interactions that you get like depending. I think it was Anthony that told me that like he saved some random person like on the side of the road or something, and then like he ran into that person and they were like a store owner, and he like gave him like you can have anything you want for free out of the catalog or whatever because like you saved that guy's life. So like there are like minor impacts. I don't know if there'll be any like major story impacts, but I'm really enjoying that aspect of the game. The combat is fine. It's exactly basically how it used to be, except for like having to manage the inventory with your horse. Like you don't, like I said, you don't keep everything on you. What else is there? I think this game, as you were saying, it's incredibly detailed. I personally, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I actually think it's too detailed for maybe my liking.
Mm-hmm.
It like sometimes the level of detail gets in the way. Like you can't sometimes you can't just get something done. You have to like jump through all these hoops of like taking 5 sips of coffee to like drink your cup of coffee, and like the traveling around is sometimes very tedious because like you literally have to sit there and ride the slowest horse in the world, like wherever it is you're going. Arthur walks slower than any man in the history of like the like normal walk when you're just using the left stick. It is so slow. I don't understand it at all.
Yeah, I think the only person I can think of that's slow is the dude from Dead Space. In Dead Space 1, I forgot his name.
Oh, okay.
He's pretty slow. Other than that, yeah, he's actually he's. I think it's to kind of make players not have to have like a short-term memory. I think when people play this game, they're gonna remember everything. I feel, and like the way it paces, it's definitely slower than Red Dead 1, the pacing of it. But I can really respect and enjoy that. It kind of makes you soak it in, and it kind of, even if you forget it, it still leaves a stain on you. But yeah, I can see why people don't like it, but for me, I can appreciate it. It's like I said, it's something that's been worked on for a long time, and I think it's something that you're not going to see.
Yeah,
it's a rarity in video games for a game to be like this.
It's definitely something to be admired. As like it is a masterpiece, even though I'm not enjoying it as much as I want to, because what I want is that some of this detail to be optional, and it's where sometimes it's not, and you're just trying to get something done that it really gets to you. So like this is obviously a super like minor example, it doesn't matter, but like there's a quest where like you go meet someone, he's drunk, and you have to like finish the game of poker for him, but like if you hit the skip button, it skips the whole hand. It doesn't skip just the dealing. So like you have if you choose to skip, you have no control over the hand. You can't just like skip. So you have to sit there and like watch the deal and watch like the flop in the river and all. Like
it's immersion, bro.
I know, but like I just want to get this quest done and like move on to the next thing, and like I gotta sit there and like actually play poker, which is cool that you can actually do that. I mean, you could for the most part do that in the first one.
Yeah.
But like I just want to skip the dealing, so I can just play the hands and get out.
Yeah, that would be nice, but it just goes back to it. Like I said, it's attention to detail. Maybe like, hey, you ain't gonna beat our game in like however many hours you think it's gonna be beaten. Like you're gonna play it and you're gonna be, I want to do that, and then next thing you know, it's 200 hours later. Yeah,
and there's still some like this morning. Also, I was riding my horse down the road at like full speed, and this like AI. NPC literally just turned straight into me and we like collided, and he got knocked off his horse, and then he started shooting at me. So like I had to defend myself. So like I killed him, and then like there was like witnesses to murder, and I had a $50 bounty, and I couldn't go back to Valentine, which is like the first like big city you get to. It was like I was literally just riding my horse, and then like it just snowballed just like that into this like, and if you die, it doesn't end the bounty.
I've heard
there like
I've
forever.
heard a similar
so like
story.
That was super. There are just like a lot of little things that grate me, that just like it bugs me so bad. But like, and they're actually stopping me from enjoying this game as much as I want to, because this game is incredible. Like it is one of the most detailed, like thoroughly, like you can have so many conversations. Like you can literally just walk up to someone and like have a conversation. Like all the people in your camp and like the people that you're with now in the mountains, like you guys like set up camp later, and like you can talk to all of them, and like they're meaningful conversations, and like there's just so much work that has gone into this, but it at times just grinds the game to a halt. Because of all this detail, like just bogs it down sometimes. I feel like
it's a real life cowboy simulation, boy.
I guess so, but I guess I haven't really got into the nitty gritty of the story. I'm only like probably, I think on the completion thing, I'm only like 12 or 13%. So like the story's been pretty straightforward thus far. Just like kind of completing little missions here and there. No like big conflict yet. I'm sure that's coming. But yeah, I mean, it's still a great game. It's just, it has its quirks that bug me sometimes.
Yeah, I think it's a good game. I think it's the game of the year so far. I think there's. I mean, I don't know. Fallout might surprise me, but we'll see.
No, I don't expect Fallout to be that good. Trying to think of like stuff that came out early last year, and I'm struggling. But
Early this year,
yeah.
God of War.
Oh, okay. PlayStation.
Okay,
PlayStation. It probably will end up being my game of the year, just because I don't think Battlefield's gonna pass it. I'm really enjoying Blackout, but I don't think Call of Duty's gonna be game of the year. Battlefield and Fallout, nah. So probably yes, this will be game of the year. But
I won't finish it until next year, so it doesn't really matter.
I'm gonna try to get through it. I'm really missing Assassin's Creed right now.
Oh, I'm gonna. So after this, I'm just playing straight Assassin's Creed to beat that, and then uninstall it and get ready for
Oh, then
Fallout. Or I don't know if we're getting Fallout. I
Oh,
don't
so
know.
you're gonna go beat Assassin's Creed and then come back to Red Dead or
Yeah.
something? Oh wow. So you're gonna be really far behind.
I don't care.
All right. Well, I mean, I just don't want to spoil something for you on accident.
Just don't talk about it then.
Never mention this amazing game ever again.
And then we'll talk about all the games that came out this year, like at the end, like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
last 2 weeks or something like that. All right. Let us know in the comments down below what you think of Red Dead Redemption 2. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it too fast for you? Too slow? Or just like you didn't get it and you're thinking about getting
If it's
it?
too fast for you, you need to check yourself in.
But yeah, let us know in the comments down below, and we shall be keeping moving to History of the Week.
Let's keep moving.
Let's keep
do
it moving. We're gonna do This Week in History, October 31st,
November 1st. I
No-
did October 1st last
November 1st to November 7th. Let's get it.
Let's do it. This is actually the shortest week that we have ever had, as far as this.
Everyone gets elected.
Yeah, basically, like a lot of the this week. Oh, on this day or whatever. This is in the U.S. I guess if you're listening, not in the U.S., which some of you are. This week is our elections every 2 years. So there is a lot of historical things where it's like, oh, it's always the first Tuesday after the first Monday, so it can be no later than the 7th, I guess, of the year. And so a whole lot of the things were like, oh, this president was elected. Every day that I looked at it was like there were like 4 or 5 presidents, like, oh, elected on this day in whatever year. So I skipped most of those. There is one that I added in there for a special reason. But let's get going. November 1st, in the year 79.
79.
Mount Vesuvius erupts and it destroys the city of Pompeii.
You sure it wasn't 69?
Unfortunately, I'm sure that it was actually 79.
Was Kid Harington there?
Yes, he was. Yes, in another life.
They had an exhibit. It's not at Bowers, which is down the street from us. I think it might have been L.A.
The LA
somewhere.
Science Center, maybe.
Yeah, they had like actual. They've actually brought some of those.
Yeah.
What it remains, I guess.
I guess it is. Yeah,
Uh,
there probably are
to
remains
there.
in them.
No, well, obviously.
Yeah.
But I think they burn and they just harden or whatever. To there, I was thinking about going, but I don't want to drive to LA.
Yeah, fair enough. Driving to LA sucks.
Yeah, it's interesting, I guess, but because like there's been other eruptions since then that have been just as big, but
Krakatoa is always another one that's like mentioned a
Yeah.
lot. So yeah. One other thing on November 1st.
did they crack a toe that day?
Okay.
Sorry.
November 1st, 1512. Michelangelo's painting on the Sistine Chapel is exhibited for the first time on the ceiling, which I believe is called God and Man, or God Makes Man.
Isn't it the one where he's like?
Yeah. So I actually saw that 2 Augusts ago now. I was there in the Sistine Chapel. One thing that I never realized is that for being a very, very old chapel, the ceiling is really high. Like when you're looking up at that painting, it's literally like just this little box on the.
Okay.
Like there are a lot of paintings on that ceiling.
Yeah, because he worked on that for like years.
Yeah.
Well, I think they had to make it that way of an arc because of just the technology they had to support
But
it.
it's a flat ceiling. It's not like curved.
Oh, it's not. I thought it was curved.
No, I don't think it is.
Oh, my bad. I thought it was curved. Okay, cool.
But I didn't realize how tall the ceiling was.
Well, people were really short, and they wanted to make themselves feel really
I
shorter.
guess, yeah. November 2nd, 1734. Daniel Boone is born on this day. American frontiersman explorer.
Daniel Boone sounds familiar. What did he do?
He was like literally he was a pioneer, literally.
Was
And he just like went out into the wilderness. And
which
explored.
wilderness though?
Like, well, I mean, the Mississippi area at the time was like as far west as.
So what did
and then he like lived in Kentucky, I think, after that.
Did he discover anything cool?
No.
Okay.
Not really. Not that I can think of.
So he wasn't like a Lewis and Clark kind of. Okay.
I mean, did Lewis and Clark discover anything cool?
Yeah, the other side of the ocean, or the like the.
Did they they didn't discover the other side of the ocean?
Yeah, but for Western.
No.
Okay, who else got there before them?
I'm sure the Pacific Ocean was being navigated like 200 years before Lewis.
Yeah, I know that, but I'm saying for probably like the first white people there.
No. There's got to be like some other like Columbus era explorer like Da Gama or something like that. Like Columbus made it all the way to like Mexico. There's no way that there wasn't someone else that went 50 miles farther.
Okay.
Google it right now. When was the Pacific
Are you talking about
Ocean?
like Baja side of Mexico?
No, I'm talking like someone straight up sailing in the Pacific Ocean.
Oh, I'm not talking about like that. I'm talking about like
an explorer sailing
from
in
the spot where that was, like in the Northwest. Pacific Northwest is what I mean.
Sure. I don't know. Look it up. Google it.
I'm not going to Google it because I'm right.
Okay.
What? You know who's telling me why I'm right? Guess who's telling me I'm right?
Lewis and Clark.
No, my balls.
Oh, okay.
Who are also nicknamed Lewis and Clark.
Oh, my goodness. November 2nd, 1795.
1795.
James Polk was born. He was the 11th president of these United States.
He also had I believe it was a birth defect where he couldn't birth or help, not birth children, but couldn't father children.
Okay.
He was one of the few presidents that wasn't able to do that, unfortunately.
I see.
And
I did not know that.
Another dude that had his wife die in the office.
Oh, I did not know that either.
Yeah, and he's also
random things about a lot of presidents. It's kind of
random. It's like
that's pretty random. You know that James Polk was infertile.
I've read some stuff on him, but he's also he met Jackson like on his like not last days, but before he got inaugurated, he visited Jackson because I think Polk was from I want to say Texas, but probably not. But went through to Tennessee to visit Jackson before he got inaugurated to say his goodbyes, because that was like Jackson's kind of like, it was near his death, and that was like the last time they saw each other, and like Jackson was like a big mentor for him.
Okay.
But yeah, and then also the Mexican-American War was another reason why I was always into him.
Okay. Yeah. November 2nd, 1865, another president, William Harding. Warren Harding, I don't know why I said William.
It's fun.
Warren Harding was born. He was the 29th president of the United States.
Yeah, he was like pretty boring. There's something really, really cool off the top of my head that I can think of. He probably was a drunk. Actually, no, wait. Didn't he start Prohibition?
He would have been not even 50 yet when Prohibition started, so probably not.
He was probably president in his 50s, though.
Prohibition would have been like in the 20s.
Late 20s. No,
so it would have been like
never mind. Yeah,
Hoover, right? Hoover
Woodrow
Wilson or Hoover?
It would have been Wilson probably is the one that did it.
I don't remember. We had the Volstead Act on here not too long ago. I don't remember what year that was. That was the start of Prohibition.
Had it been like 1920, 1921.
I think it was 1920, which probably would have been Woodrow Wilson.
Yeah, Wilson, because of his wife. And then after that, who was president? Hoover was right after Wilson?
Yeah, I think so. Because Hoover was president until 32.
Because I believe Hoover only
which would have
served like one term.
Oh. Oh, maybe there was someone in between.
I think it was Harding.
29th president? I'm not sure.
But yeah, that seems a little too early too when you think about it.
He would have been relatively young. He would have been like Kennedy age if he was president then. Because he would have been 35 in 1900. So he would have been like not much older than Kennedy was in that time
1900. Period. No, it might have been him. Yeah, he might have been president. Yeah.
Anyway,
Alright.
November 2nd. I guess before we move on, I have been listening once again to the American Storytellers thing, the Wondery series. I've been listening to the Prohibition one.
It's really good, huh?
It is really good. It's pretty interesting. A lot of things I didn't.
I like the ending.
You guys should check it out if you are
American
interested.
Storytellers by what's
Wondery.
Wondery.
Yeah. They have a lot of interesting topics. November 2nd, 1889, South Dakota and North Dakota are admitted into the Union. The 39th and 40th states. I wonder how they decided that order. So, like, all the North Dakota people could be like, ha, we were here first.
I just don't understand how you got North Dakota out of
Why it's not one state?
Yeah. Well, not like how you got North Dakota at the first part. You know what I mean? It's like they're like, oh, we're gonna name.
They were admitted on the same day, but in like the books, North Dakota is the 39th state and South Dakota is the. You know what I bet it was? In all honesty, they probably voted on it in alphabetical order.
Okay.
I bet that was something stupid like that made them go in first.
Yeah, I guess.
November 2nd, sorry, man, I keep messing up the years. November 2nd, 1947, Howard Hughes' Spruce Goose takes its one and only flight. It is a airplane made entirely of wood. Like props and everything and all.
Wasn't it Howells and Tussin?
If it was, I'm not aware of that. It's in Seattle
Mm.
at the moment, I think. And
Yeah, that was a big waste of money.
Hey, it was a proof of concept.
Proof of concept
They proved
from
that concept.
taxpayers' dollars.
Yeah, I guess. November.
That only went like 10 feet up in the air or something like that, right?
Yeah, but it flew for like 1,000 feet. Again, it was a proof of concept.
Anyways.
November 3rd, 1507, Leonardo da Vinci is commissioned to paint the Mona Lisa. One thing that I learned, and I have forgotten what her first name is, but it's the other way around. I didn't realize that Lisa was her first name. I always assumed it was like Mona Lisa was a name, but it's not. Lisa is the first name. It's like Lisa and something that starts with a P is like the woman's name.
Lisa Filapio.
Sure. Yeah, that was exactly what it is. How'd you know that? Okay.
Remember, I know it's stupid stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen the Mona Lisa.
Yeah,
It's very small.
Yeah, I just don't. It's just weird, like you said with the Sistine Chapel, and how things are made larger than what they are, but they're super small. But also Europe is like super small, so yeah.
That was very intellectually deep right there.
Well, yeah, because like a lot of that stuff seems like, oh wow, this is gonna be really big or something. I'm gonna be able to like have a good view of this, but nope. Not
yeah,
really.
it's literally it's in its like, not even its own room. It's in the center of a room in the Louvre in France, and the painting is literally like this big. It's like this.
Yeah,
it's not really that big at all.
Like the only thing where I was, it like met my expectation was going to. When I was like kind of conscious, I guess, as like a little kid, one of my sisters was like, "Oh, we're gonna go see the sequoia trees. They're really big." I was like, "It's like that tree's big. What are you talking about?" And I go and I'm like, "That is that
like
met,
can't even see the top.
yeah,
of the tree.
like that
like,
met
man.
that was like one of the few things that's ever met my expectations, where I was just like,
okay,
perfect."
all right, fair enough.
But anyways,
November 4th, 1916. A man named Walker. Man, I cannot talk. Walter Cronkite is born on this day on November 4th, 1916. He is probably the most famous of all news reporters or like news anchors of all time. I believe it was him that's on like the broadcast when we landed on the moon, and probably him that announced the assassination of Kennedy.
he had that like mustache, right?
Yeah.
And I think he even he did a lot of stuff in the Vietnam War, I believe, too.
Mm-hmm. And he would have probably been like one of the lead people on Watergate as far as just like giving the news sort of thing.
Yeah, because they always had that weird earpiece that like you can visually see because it was just back then.
Yeah.
But yeah, his voice is when you watch coverage like that and you hear like the same voice over and over again, it's usually him, and you don't even know it until like someone goes and you watch like a segment or something like that commemorates him or something like that in his memory, or saying the good work he did, or in documentaries where he's like mentioned.
Yeah. November 4th, 1922. Arguably, I guess, one of the more significant archaeological discoveries in recent history. The entrance to King Tut's tomb.
Oh, dude,
is
that
found.
was so weird, bro.
What?
That's a King Tut in my head.
Oh, did you? Yeah, 1922 is the discovery of the tomb. If I remember correctly, it was found in like I think it was in the Valley of the Kings, but in like an area that was thought to be like ridiculously well excavated already. Like they thought that like they had found everything that there was to find there.
I don't think they've fully excavated the what is it? The Lynx, or
The
even
Sphinx.
the Sphinx, or even the pyramids themselves haven't been fully excavated either, which is crazy. But King Tut, particularly, like that's my dad's like one of his favorite things to learn about. I guess there was a archaeologist that had a lecture at the Bowers Museum, and he he had a show, I believe, too, and then he also wrote articles that my dad liked to read. I don't know why. My dad just had a thing for King Tut, and then this guy, like, he went down and bought he had his book and everything, got it signed. Like, I'd never seen my dad so excited. He's like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna see this guy. I seen King Tut." I was like, "Damn, dude, come on, bro." But yeah, King Tut is because I think it's because of my dad. Yeah, he was basically a child.
I think he was like 12 when he died or something.
Yeah,
like that.
he was very small. When they excavated and everything, like the coffin was a lot smaller than I think what they expected. And then all the stuff that they found in there. But yeah, it's unfortunate. I think he had like a really simple death or something like that. It wasn't like, what's it called? It wasn't like a sickness. I think he like fell and hit his head, and that's how he died.
I thought it was
From
that he got kicked by a horse. Speaking of people getting kicked.
okay, yeah,
Something
That's
like that,
what
because
yeah.
like his like chest cavity is like in like his skeleton is like caved
yeah, because
in.
they did an autopsy
Yeah,
on
yeah,
him, and then they found out like, oh, this kid got not murdered, but that's unfortunate in how he
It's
passed.
just like an accidental death.
But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff in Egypt that's not been found. Like I was talking on one of my first above ground music thing. We were talking about the pyramids and talking about how we are closer to Cleopatra than Cleopatra is to the building of the pyramids, which is like insane. It's like, what the? It's like,
Yeah.
the pyramids are a lot older than we think, which is insane. But I don't know. It's unfortunate, like what's going on in that place, and we can't really like look at everything. I really want a time machine. I just want to see when stuff was built. Be cool, but not in this lifetime.
Well, probably not in this lifetime.
Yeah.
November 5th, 1940, and this is the only one of the elections that I put. I could have put two of this person, but I just chose to put one because we can really talk about both of them. November 5th, 1940, Franklin Delano Roosevelt was elected president for the third time. And that is the only time in history that someone has served more than 2 terms.
And then he would be reelected again in 44.
Right, yeah. So there was, I think it was November 7th, but I didn't put it in here, but yeah, he was elected to a 4th term. He only served maybe only 9 months or so of it.
In 44, yeah. Because he had polio.
Right, yeah.
And kind of like a similar... seems like a lot of presidents also have like the what's the word? Just like their health, like just declines really fast for some people. And also, he wasn't on paper. He probably shouldn't have served this long, so it probably decreased his life expectancy.
Yeah,
because what you were probably gonna say is when you become president, it ages you.
Right, it's
you
super
can see
stressful.
it in a lot of people, and you could even look at it in Lincoln, and then obviously Obama. And it's just like weird. Because like it's specific where you can only really have this kind of instance because it was a wartime effort, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can't have it anymore now just because of like they passed a law. They passed a constitutional amendment to stop this from ever happening again. And it's kind of surprising how long. Like, I mean, we went like 170 years of like people basically honoring, not even 100, it would be like 140 years, I guess, of people honoring that precedent that Washington set for like that long. And then FDR was like, no, I'm just going to stay as long as they keep electing me. We even had, because not long before this, Grover Cleveland was elected like 2 terms. He served 2 terms, but they were not consecutive terms. He was president for 4 years, and someone else was president, and then he was president for 4 years again.
Yeah, I think it was he got elected. Obviously, I think he lost his re-election, and then just the way the political system just landed back onto him, because like it just the next option, or the option for his party, I forgot what he was, wasn't basically there. And I think it was like a 3-horse race too, which is like what got him back into the office, which is like weird. He's like the rarity, just like FDR, in like his situation of, or his certain presidency, or presidencies technically.
Yeah, he is actually listed as the 22nd and the 24th president. So that's why Trump is 45, I think. So, but like technically he's 44.
44.
Yeah. November 6th, 1861, Jefferson Davis is elected to a 6-year term as the president of the Confederacy. And spoiler alert, he did not get to serve all 6 years as president of the Confederacy, because he done lost the war.
Yes, he did. I believed he even served in the Senate after that or something like that, right?
I thought he fled the country.
He fled?
I think like Lincoln allowed like the high-ranking people to like leave, because like he didn't pursue them.
There's definitely a lot of people that were in the Confederacy that joined. Obviously, when they joined the Union, back to Union, I
think that is true. Yeah. But I don't think Jefferson Davis was one of them. I think like Lincoln kind of like declined to pursue him, and he was just allowed to like disappear.
I wouldn't be surprised if he like owned like a corporation or something like that after the war or something, where he was like making money still.
Yeah, maybe.
Bam.
November 6th, 1917, the Bolsheviks, led by Vladimir Lenin and I forgot his first name, Trotsky, Leon Trotsky, they take power in Russia following the it's called, I read something interesting when I was looking this up about it's called the October Revolution, even though it happened in November, because it was October on the old Russian calendar.
Oh, okay. Must have been cold as balls.
So, well, yeah, it's like winter in Russia. So
Yeah.
probably pretty cold. Obviously, I guess this is not necessarily a great day in I almost said American history, in world history, because this led to like the murder of millions of people and starvation of millions of people. But
yeah, it kind of opened up the door for Marxist ideas into, I think it was the first Marxist origin, or
like
first
fully communist state.
Yeah, government that was influenced on Marxist ideas, and then just the massacre of millions of people. Like when you really look at it, of just people not agreeing, and they were still killed for basically not agreeing.
Yeah,
which would be crazy today. Which, I mean, is happening in other countries.
I almost feel like Russia still to this day gets a pass. Like what the Nazis did during World War II was obviously horrible, but like the number of people that the Nazis killed pales in comparison to the number of people that died in the Soviet Union.
Yeah,
and I feel like they're like either not a lot of people realize that, or not a lot of people care, or like it's, I don't know. I feel like it always gets a pass.
Well, the way the Nazis did it too is like they weren't just in the business of killing people like that, but they were also in the business of like discarding the evidence of it. So I think that's what was like just as bad. But also, we didn't really have eyes in Russia too. Like,
yeah, that's true.
I mean, we really didn't know what was really going on until like probably years later. I mean, there's people that infiltrated Russia for us, but they probably weren't even out there unless they got sent out to the camps, or they got caught and sent out to those camps or gulags. But just the idea of not being able to run, or to be able to have like an opportunity to say so, or have like a real freedom of speech, and if you're disagreeing with the government and they basically do that to you, it's kind of ugly.
Yeah.
And
I mean, sorry, go ahead.
I know like there's instances in the U.S. where people have not, I don't know if they directly do it, But it's happened here sometimes, where people disagree and they get shot up for disagreeing on stuff, but it's not at the level of what it was in Russia, where it was millions, not a couple hundred people, which is a huge difference. And a lot of those 100 people were, brought to justice, and they weren't able just to live their lives again, or you know what I mean, just like, oh, I killed this person because they disagree with me.
Yeah, I mean, even Trotsky wasn't safe from that because Stalin hunted him down in Mexico. So I think it was like after Lenin died, like they had like a little bit of a power struggle, and like Stalin won, and Trotsky fled to Mexico, and then Stalin was like, "You're not safe anywhere. I'm gonna go kill you."
Yeah, because that's what Animal House is based off of, basically.
Okay, yeah.
Or Animal Farm or Animal House?
Farm.
Sorry.
Yeah. And
Georgia Will.
Our last historical anniversary that I have to hear, November 7th, 1867, Marie Curie is born. Her and her husband pioneered the discovery of radiation and radioactivity, much to their detriment, because both of them died of cancer because they didn't realize the effects of like the stuff they were working on, like because they were just like working on it in their house and like in their oven and like stuff like that. And
what was her name again?
Marie Curie.
Okay.
And I forget her husband's name, but like both of them are like made major discoveries in like chemistry and stuff like that, chemistry and physics. And then both of them died of cancer because of all the radioactive exposure that they were part of, just because of like the nature of their research, but they weren't aware of the effects really.
Well, yeah, because they're
at
just
the time.
Hey.
Yeah.
But also, you can't really hold radiated stuff like that in your hand. Yeah, I mean, obviously they're wearing like some kind of heated protection, but that still isn't even
right.
Like if you're in the business of dealing with any kind of radiated kind of material, you are probably gonna get cancer regardless, no matter how protected you are. It doesn't really matter, honestly. That's just the way it just deteriorates everything. It's insane. Like uranium and all that plutonium and stuff is just like crazy. Like stuff that like the bombs that we were building back in like the 50s, like all that stuff is still corroding as we speak right now, and they're just in like little shelters where they're building a shelter on top of the and then as the other shelter like disintegrates, like there's no material or no way we've figured out how to really truly contain it. It just eats through everything, which is insane. Over time, though.
Right. Yeah.
You would know this because you've taken all that physics stuff.
Lead. Well, on the periodic table, lead is the like first of the stable elements, where like it's because like uranium, for example, is normally stored in lead because it's supposed to be like the hardest to break down when exposed to radioactive material. So there's like they do it as best they can. Yeah,
I mean, there's only so much you can do unless we find a solution. Like the only other way we can really get rid of it is like send it to space. It's like, wait, I don't think that's an option.
I'm kind of surprised that hasn't been done yet.
Well, because my conspiracy theory guy or my history class, he's like, I don't know, but we might have. It's like since we can't blow up bombs on Earth, we probably have tried to do it in space to test it out or something like that. But I'm like, where's that explosion at, bro? You know what I mean? Where's the?
Oh, I don't know about like detonating in space. I mean like taking the waste.
Oh yeah, I mean,
like why not just like throw it at the sun?
Maybe there might be some kind of reaction. I don't know.
I guess I never really thought about that. That kind of seems like an obvious solution.
Another solution would be just like, let's just put it on the moon, dude.
I guess.
But I don't know what that would do to it.
But that requires too much effort. You can't just like put it on the moon. That's why if you throw it at the sun, then all you have to do is get it into space.
But you have to get that. We can't even get that close to the sun, anyways, right? At the moment.
No. But you don't even need to, because once you're in space, you
I understand that.
You could just like push it.
I understand that,
and it would just go.
Like
you don't need to propel it, and the gravity of the sun would probably pull it in. Like the sun would catch it.
I don't know. There's probably someone thought of like, this is probably gonna happen, and they're like, okay, we can't do it because the science told us not to do it.
I can't imagine there being like.
Neil deGrasse Tyson told him like, no, we can't do that. But maybe that's why we're doing Space Force.
I don't know. We'll find out.
Because like a meteor, we have no way of preventing any of that stuff. So Like, there's a program that Neil deGrasse Tyson said it would take us 10 years to fully be able to do anything from now, which is like, we should probably get on that. Space Force, please help us. Oh my god.
Yeah, so that is the end of the line.
That is the
This
end
week
of
in
the
history.
This week in history, ladies and gentlemen. Let us know if we missed anything down below. Obviously, like, every president was probably elected in this week. That we've just, there's no point saying 1 through 45. So, but also let us know down in the comments below if anything we missed. Like I said, any cool facts that we missed as well. Also, let us know what you think of uranium. There we go.
What should we do with nuclear waste?
There we go. Yeah.
Should we launch it at the sun?
Should we launch it at the sun? Let us know. Yes or no. One more topic, baby. And we're almost done.
Yep.
What are we doing in this last topic, Jacob?
So, as of this morning, as of recording this morning, which is the 30th of October, there has been many reports put out that Donald Trump gave an interview basically saying that he has plans to sign an executive order that would be the end of birthright citizenship in the United States. It's caused a lot of conflict over like whether or not he actually has that authority, and whether or not it's the right thing to do. So yeah, that's going to be our discussion about kind of just the nature of birthright citizenship itself, and like, do you think it's a good idea? And do you think, well, I guess we're going to have a hard time commenting on, like, do you think the president has the power to do it? But
well, let's do that first. How about we get that out of the gate?
Okay.
Well, technically yes and no, because he has executive powers which were given back during Truman, where basically you could just write stuff off.
I think so. Yeah, that around that time period.
Like, I don't know the exact wordage, but basically he just writes, "You're done," which is like weird. It's kind of unconstitutional, obviously, and it goes away from checks and balances. I don't like executive orders at all. That means going back to like every single executive order that's ever been done, regardless of how good it's done. I don't think that's what should be done. I think everything should go through Congress. But technically, yes and no because of the power he's given, but also no because of the 14th Amendment, I believe was what it
I
was?
have it pulled up here.
Yeah. Which you want to read that?
Do you want me to read it? Yeah. So I just have section 1 here, which is really all that we need. So the 14th Amendment was Constitution of America. Revised 1992. I don't think that's that old. I guess I should look it up when the 14th Amendment was passed. But
I have my Constitution book around here somewhere.
That's okay. So Section 1 of the 14th Amendment says, and I quote, "All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws."
Yeah. So, with that said, I mean, it depends on the wording of what the executive order is going to be, because is it going to be from the day he signs it, where everyone is not going to be, if you're not a natural born citizen after the day he signs it, then is that where it starts, or does it start beforehand?
There
has to be a deadline.
They're probably going to set a date, like maybe the 1st of this year, or maybe the 1st of next year. If this happens, I would say like the 1st of this year or the 1st of next year.
This is all hypothetical, everyone. We're just talking right
now. Yeah. Because I cannot foresee a world where like they try to revise. Like I can't imagine that they wouldn't grandfather the people in that are in right now.
Yeah, because there's someone, like I said, there's a lot of, I don't want to call them stupid people. They're really hardworking people that I've seen on Facebook post stuff saying like, "Oh, my grandfather was born in Mexico, and I think maybe he was I think he's a legal citizen technically, but like she was like saying like, oh, he's gonna get deported or something because of this. I was like, that's
not at all
that's
what's
not
gonna happen.
it's not at all what's gonna happen. What's gonna happen is, like we said, there's gonna be a date, or after this date, any child born after this date that isn't parented by by one or two, is it both? I'm assuming it's
I assume
one.
it only has to be one.
Yeah, where one parent has to be a legal citizen of the United States for that child to be a natural born citizen, technically. Which is kind of goes back to what we talked about a couple months ago and on one of our other segments that we had at the end, like this, talking about a tweet that kind of solved or it was not it didn't solve it obviously, but it was a step towards a solution of Colin Moriarty's tweet not too long ago about this law being outlawed again, or in that example was basically taking this law out of the books. I mean, when you look at it when I look at it, I don't even know how I feel about this at the moment, but when I look at it from a point of view that makes sense, this might prevent, obviously, what's going on with people migrating here from those caravans. It kind of discouraged them, but also kind of makes the wall not a thing. It's like you still need border protection, I guess, but because we're still after this, if this goes into or gets signed for some reason, I don't know if it is. We'll see, but if it does, like I still think we're gonna get like a still, a flux of immigrants that are gonna come through. It's just they're gonna be processed, I guess, a little bit quicker or faster. But you're still gonna. I think it helps minimize the wall kind of idea, because I feel like there's some parts of the border that probably needs some kind of protection, but I don't think like at the moment, just through this administration, maybe through over time we'll be able to, I guess, do that. But at the moment, no. That's just me, realistically, like what I think. Like it's just not gonna happen like overnight like this, where the whole thing is gonna be basically protected. You know what I mean? It just I don't think it's feasible. But yeah, like for me, I don't know how I feel, because in my eyes, I benefited off of this amendment through ancestors, or through my great grandmother, which is I think is the closest through which benefited off of this.
So did your great grandparents come here legally?
I think so. Yes.
Okay.
Because actually that was weird, because my Uncle Bobby just sent me a picture of my great grandmother right now, which is like weird, because we were talking about this stuff. But like looking at it, it's just like it's weird because I benefited off of this. So should I not allow someone else to benefit off? It's just me being moral, or not being moral, but just having empathy for that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I guess. I guess you did too. But I mean, I guess if you came off the boat from like the eastern part of the states, you kind of were. Once you came through Ellis Island, you're technically legal because you went through the process, right?
Well, immigration is not citizenship. There's a difference.
No, I meant from. I'm okay. I'm talking about from when your ancestors came through.
Yeah.
So
they came through. Actually, it was Massachusetts.
Okay.
It wasn't Ellis Island. I just it was kind of funny. I guess you were talking about you're got the picture of your great grandmother and such, and I spent probably 8 to 10 hours a month or so ago on Ancestry.com, and I was able to go all the way back to Massachusetts, and then I have the actual document signed by my ancestor of them applying for citizenship. So once that, so all of those went through the legal processes of the time. So it's they were a registered what's the word that I'm looking for, passenger on this boat that came from England and landed in Massachusetts. They got off the boat, they immigrated into the country, set themselves up, and then 5 or 6 years later that person applied for as I guess my like great grandfather or something like that applied for citizenship in Virginia, I think, or something like that. Anyway, it's like all the like everything was above board.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, because my
so this wouldn't have affected me.
Yeah, because like my mom's side, we've been here for like a long ass time because I'm Native American on her side, and then even if you go back to, because all that stuff runs through, it barely runs through any kind of Hispanic blood, but it mostly runs through European blood through like France and Ireland apparently. But yeah, it's mostly my dad's side where it's like that's where I'm kind of like I don't know how I feel about it yet. I just need to see something that appeals to me, I guess. But for me, like I said, it makes sense from the perspective of not having to build the wall immediately, I guess, or having to like trying to play that kind of card politically. But I don't like it's we're the only country that does this, I believe, in the world.
That's actually not true. And I was
there's
actually
like a
surprised to learn that. So
There's a
apparently the
handful
number
then.
is 30
Okay.
that have
Wow, there's a lot more.
some version here. I actually pulled up the map before we started it.
I think there's 30 of them, but they have some version of it, but then there's only like a handful that actually have like basically the same thing that we do.
Right.
Yes.
So a vast majority of the South American countries, basically all of them excluding Colombia, have some version of the birthright citizenship, where like if you're born there, you're a citizen. But they also have like some conditions, not like the U.S. where it's like regardless of whatever. And then most of Central America, the U.S. and Canada. I don't know what country that is in Africa. Looks like South Africa used to have it, but does not anymore. There's one country here. Looks like kind of the like Ethiopia region. I'm not sure what country that is. There's one in Africa, like Eastern Africa, and apparently Pakistan. You can be born in Pakistan and be a Pakistani citizen. With a few restrictions. So there are other countries available, or like where this is a thing, which was surprising to me because I always thought that it was just the U.S. that did this.
Well, I knew that we did that, but we did it in our specific way. But I know other countries were similar to what we did, but they don't do it at our level of clearance, basically.
Okay, yeah.
That's what I meant.
So real quick, I guess before I get into my opinion, I want to read like what Trump actually said. So where this came from, it was an interview with a company. I guess it's a company they're putting out. It's a 4-part documentary that's airing on HBO, and I guess the name of this company is Axios, and this is from their website that I'm reading. So this was the interview that he did with Axios that's going to be airing on HBO, and he said that it was always told to me that you needed a constitutional amendment. He's talking about like getting rid of birthright citizenship.
Yeah.
And he says, guess what? You don't. Trump said, declaring he can do it by executive order. When told that's very much in dispute, Trump replied, quote, "You can definitely do it with an act of Congress, but now they're saying I can just do it with an executive order." And then he goes on to say, quote, "We are the only country in the world where a person comes in and has a baby, and the baby is essentially a citizen of the United States with all of those benefits." Trump continued. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and it has to end. And then in parentheses, it gives like context and says that more than 30 countries in most of the Western hemisphere have birthright citizenship. And so what I would have said if I was Donald Trump was that we are the only country in the world that has birthright citizenship where that birthright citizenship is abused. In the sense of, like, one of the countries, for example, that this is, I guess, an extreme example, perhaps a little bit, especially recently, but one of the countries in South America that has birthright citizenship is Venezuela. Now, Venezuela obviously has turned recently into a communist country, basically, and so, like, there aren't people in the rest of South America, for example, or Central America, illegally entering Venezuela to have a child, and therefore that child is a Venezuelan citizen.
Yeah.
So, like, that's the distinction that I would have made. Like, what Trump said is apparently factually incorrect. Like, there are 30 countries that have some sort of process that's like this, but none of those, like, all of those people, even in those countries, are the ones who are crossing our southern border so that their kids are United States citizens.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the problem lies, in that it's the 14th Amendment, if I remember correctly. The 13th Amendment was the Emancipation Proclamation, freeing all the slaves. The 14th Amendment, because of the laws that were on the books at the time, the 14th Amendment was passed so that slaves, there weren't any slaves anymore, but so former slaves had a path to citizenship, so that their children who were born on American soil, like the sons and daughters of slaves, were citizens. That's why that's originally why this was passed. Didn't have, and then in recent history, it's been this, like, people crossing the border illegally, having a child, and now that child is a citizen. Or even like hospitals on military bases, for example. If you have a kid, if you're like in Korea and you have a child on a hospital on a military base for whatever reason, like, that kid is a citizen of the United States.
Yeah.
Even though they're born like across the world. So where I have a problem with it is that it's become abused. It's so what Trump is targeting here, and it mentions it in this article, is what are known as anchor babies. Yeah. Where like the families have a child there, and then the United States is hesitant to deport them because they don't want to leave the child as a citizen, and they don't want to like separate the child from his family. So like now the family gets to say, and then when other people come to the border from, so say like the mother's brother comes to the border and says, well, hey, like, I have family in the country, like, you should let me in. And so it starts this like whole chain. It's called chain migration. It's like this whole thing, and it's caused a lot of problems in the United States over the last 20 to 30 years, I would say, maybe like 30 years. Just in the fact of there is a disproportionate, I'm not trying to say that, everyone that crosses the border illegally is a criminal. Yeah. Or, I mean, well, by the letter of the law they are, because they broke the law in entering the country, but, I mean, like, of that nature. But the statistics are that illegal immigrants are disproportionately involved in criminal activity. Like, 50%, I think it was in the state of Texas, like 50% of all violent crimes are committed by illegal immigrants in the state of Texas. And it's like, so, like, they're, like, a very, very small portion of the population that commit a huge percentage of the crime. So it's things like that. And you're referencing the wall. Like, the wall for me is not about really illegal immigration. It's more about drugs, human trafficking, weapons.
I get
like that.
Yeah, I get that point. I'm just saying I think it's being used as a tool it's been verbal. Like, it seems like it's being described as a barrier for humans as well. So what it seems like when someone's like, "Oh, build a wall," like it. I think, yes, there's what you just said right now about, with drugs and weapons, but I also think in front of that, it's also used, or I think it's what it's mainly used for, and what I hear and what I understand is as a barrier between a human getting into the land.
Yeah, but that's true. I mean, there are a lot of people, like, I think it's the Rio Grande, like, there are more people that cross that into the country than like anywhere else, any other point along the border. So, but
if it was verbally, or the rhetoric around it was used to say what you would say about drugs and weapons as the main thing, as it putting it forward, then yes.
Yeah, I agree.
But it's not really just I think it's just the way the news is, and how like, oh, they want to keep people out, and then they're like, oh no, we're gonna run with that. Yeah, let's go with that. I think that's what it really is. But I think, in my eyes, that's what I see it as.
Yeah, the wall itself wouldn't be too much, because I think it's something like 60% of all the people who are here in this country illegally are people that just overstayed their visas. So like they got into this country with, like they were allowed, say like a year. Yeah. On a visa or whatever in this country, but like they never reported back in. They just, like, their visa expired and they stayed. So like the majority, like, a wall wouldn't stop people like that. Like that person flew to this country and like landed somewhere, landed in LA at LAX, and like got a visa and stayed and like overstayed it. Yeah. So like a wall would never stop people like that anyway. So for me, the wall is more like more so the criminal activity that, like I said, like drugs, weapons, human trafficking, stuff like that. Because like that would be much easier to stop, because like there's not like someone putting a whole bunch of AK-47s in their suitcase and flying to LA. Yeah, like they have to take it across it. Like it's like the ports and like the southern border, stuff like that. So I think I think personally, I would be okay if we ended birthright citizenship just because of like the way it has been abused in recent years, especially.
And it's
but
not.
it can't be this way.
Yeah, and it's also
and it
not.
wouldn't hold up this way.
And it's not being used to what it was intended to be used. It wasn't used to give people opportunity from other countries. It was the slaves,
right,
to be given citizenship to their kids, which I don't like the way it's being used with that rhetoric and saying like, oh, now you're taking away the opportunity of like future citizens. Like, well, they weren't supposed to be technically like the way, if the law was written not cleverly or was written to what it was intended to be written for.
About
it should,
slaves.
Yeah. It should have been done that way instead of saying like all, but I think they,
and I would say
it's pretty generous, I guess.
Like, I guess I don't remember exactly when Texas became part of the Union. I know we just had it on our like This Week in History not that long ago. But when this amendment was passed, it was possible that we didn't even have a southern border with Mexico.
Yeah.
So, actually, take that back because California would have already been a state, and like because California was a state during the Civil War, so we would have had a small southern border with Mexico. But yeah, it's just I think that the executive order I don't think it wouldn't stand up. It would be thrown out probably by the Supreme Court, because if you can write an executive order over an amendment to the Constitution, like in theory, I know this is again an extreme example, but like, why then couldn't you write an executive order eliminating free speech?
Yeah.
Like all you're doing is writing an executive order changing a law that's given to us by the Constitution. Like I don't think you want to go about setting that precedent, and I don't think it would fly anyway. But I also don't. While I think I would like to see it happen, I don't think it ever will. There's not going to be a single Democrat that votes for it because, not just because of Trump, but like if they were trying to do this like through the actual amendment process, immigrants are disproportionately Democratic voters. So like no Democrat would ever vote for it because they would be eating into their own base.
Yeah.
And
well, that's what it really
so
is.
It's like
it's a political tool.
And then like what you were saying about like people abusing it, or people that like, oh well, you're taking away the citizenship of people like who would have been citizens or whatever. Well, it's like if you're an upstanding person, like you can somewhat easily become a citizen already.
Yeah.
Like you immigrate legally and you stay in the country. I think it's like 4 years or something like that, and like not have any blemishes, like major blemishes on your record, and then you can apply for citizenship. And like if you want to be a citizen, like there is a somewhat like not terribly difficult path to citizenship if you want it. I mean, besides just like crossing the baby and having a child.
And it's also too like
and having a child.
Someone like you would say that to someone, and then someone would be like, "Well, you don't know what the process is about this and that." Well, like of course we don't know, but also we're expecting it to be this way. So, I don't know. I don't understand how people say like, "Oh, it's not that easy. It's not that easy." Well, on paper it is. So why isn't it easy for you in a way? And like, why isn't it being addressed as well? Maybe the news isn't covering it on like, I've heard stories about people like, oh no, I went to the office or whatnot, or for the sign up and like I had to wait in this line. I'm like, well, you're waiting on a line. Of course you're going to be waiting on a line for something. There's like, there's just literally excuses, I think, too. But I think it's also both sides, maybe for some reason, because, there's bribery and all that stuff going on. There has to be. But for me, like to end it, I guess, is like, what comes down to it, I don't think any of this would be a problem, really, in my eyes, if exactly what I think Ben Shapiro said, too, earlier. I think either it was later last week or earlier this week, about the idea when you come to America, you're not raising a Honduras flag, you're not raising a Mexican flag, and it's not to this, to separate you from your original culture or from where you came from. When you come here, I'm not trying to be harsh or anything like that. You're leaving a place that didn't really want you. When you look at it, like they didn't give you any opportunity there. They didn't really protect you from criminals. Why would you want to like raise that flag? I understand, like, oh, I came from here, obviously. You can still have all that culture and everything, But like if you don't like, and what he said about his ancestors, as soon as they got here, they threw all that stuff out. They wanted to be American citizens, and that's the same thing for me. When someone tells me or like looks at me weird when I don't tell them, I tell them I don't speak Spanish. It's like, what's the point of speaking Spanish, dude? To me, I don't like. I can communicate a little bit with my grandmother, but that's it. And when she even looks at, she looks like she's like, I'm American. I'm not Mexican American. I'm American. Like that's another thing. I think if people saw immigrants like that coming into America and being proud to work your ass off here and to be a citizen here, I think it wouldn't be. I honestly think when you look at it, I think people would give them a lot more leeway if they were coming in to the country like that, and we would even be talking about this.
Yeah,
honestly.
I agree. But what like the sticking point for me is that there's no reason why like someone like that doesn't need to like it's completely unnecessary to cross the border illegally.
Yeah.
Like there is a pathway to like legal immigration and citizenship for the people that genuinely want to be here, and not just like leech off of the system, the welfare, the like healthcare, like all of that.
And there's been plenty of stories before this time, like when people were originally immigrating to America, where they were criminals, but when they came to America, they're like, you know what, I need to change this, and they did. They like, who knows? Like there could have been like a dude that did atrocities in England, but when he came over to America, never did any of that because he was like, this is a fresh start. And I don't think people look at it that way either, because I think what a lot of Ben Shapiro says is that the left kind of tarnishes being American, I guess. And, you know, I'm not going to say the evidence for that or anything like that right now because it's not popping in my head, I guess.
Well, what I would say is that the left today is kind of the mind that like all cultures are equal and like all right. And like there's a reason why so many people are trying to get into this country.
I mean, I look down upon on a lot of Europeans, honestly. I look down on Asian cultures. It's not that I think we're better in the sense of we're like morally or whatever they like humanity, like towards humanity. I just think we provide better than anything else in the world. And we had to smack Europe around twice to tell them, hey, this is how it has to be.
2-time World War champs.
Exactly. And there's nothing going on over there because what we did. And that's because we're better. As simple as that. We're better than everything. I don't know how you can make an argument. I mean, I did get in an argument like not too long ago about this, but I mean, would you rather be a farm worker in Guatemala or would you rather be a farm worker in the U.S.? I would pick the U.S. in a heartbeat.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, sorry. We got a little, hopefully we didn't offend anyone. If you were offended, I think you should leave it in the comments down below and we can talk. If you are interested more into this topic and you want us to expand on it, I guess let us know in the comments down below and we'll talk to you. But yeah, I mean, we're not saying, like I said, we're not for the way it's going to be done through an executive order. Like I said, I don't like any executive order. I want it done straight through Congress. So for me, if it's going to be done, I want it to be done that way instead of through executive orders, but it's probably not going to happen. But if it does, Democrats are going to lose a voting base, which I'm fine with. So that makes them have to work even harder, even though I don't think they work hard at all.
Well, we wouldn't even feel like the loss of voter base for like a generation.
Yeah.
Because everyone who is here already or born already is probably going to be a citizen.
Mm-hmm.
So, and like that's not to say that like, you know, say Trump loses the 2020 election and a Democrat takes office, like executive order reinstating like it, just like that. I cannot foresee a scenario where like if he does this, it's in any way permanent.
Yeah, and it's also it wouldn't be his first, or if this got passed, it probably wouldn't be. It's the other executive order about the Muslim ban already got overturned anyways.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like I would see the Supreme Court probably would overturn this even if he would sign it. Yeah. So you don't even need to worry.
It's probably
If it's gonna pass, it's gonna pass through Congress, but it's probably never gonna do that. So.
I don't think it'll ever happen.
Yeah. because bipartisanship.
And I think that, well, I mean, you were saying like you don't like executive orders in general, and I think that there's been a huge spike in it because of, I think, like the divide that's been growing. Because like you end up like Obama at some point in his term ended up with Republican Congress in his, so like he couldn't pass any like a full Republican Congress and or like House and Senate. So like anything he wanted to have done had to be an executive order. Bush ended up with a full Democrat House and Senate. So like anything he wanted done had to be an executive order. Like it's like this snowball effect.
Yeah, it
Where,
just
like no one's willing to work with anyone, so it has to be.
It just cycles.
Yeah,
it really just cycles. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Honestly, it was. I don't think it's. I think it's just like he said, she said, kind of like and build a headline. People are gonna be talking about like, oh, Donald Trump wants to do this. No, it's like. But has he done it? I mean, you have to commit the murder to be prosecuted for the murder. So
unless we're living in the Minority Report.
And like you said, the rhetoric he was talking about, like some of the stuff I don't like, but when he has a good idea, like I'm like, that's kind of a good idea, guys. And like I think last week or 2 weeks ago, he signed some kind of executive order for streaming services for music to pay artists fairly.
Oh yeah.
Which is like. Yo, hello. That's a good thing, because people have been ripping people off, and that's.
Yep.
If anything, he would be someone that wouldn't sign something like that, but he did.
I know. I understand.
Yeah, I don't know. That's what it was. I had to put that on Facebook and only had 2 likes. Well, usually some of the stuff I get was a lot of likes, but I think it was Trump. Yeah.
Trump did something good. Can't have that.
Anyways, like I said, thank you guys for watching. Let us know in the comments down below on what you guys think. Like I said, I can't talk. Like I said before, and we shall see you guys next week as we end this edition of Jacob and Me podcast show. I've been Richard Radio, or the host Richard Radio, joined by the man with the noggin, Jacob Bullard. Go ahead and like, share, subscribe. Go ahead and share this with everyone that loves this kind of stuff, I guess. Know that we do a video and audio version. The video version will be on College Avenue YouTube channel, which is on YouTube. You just got to type in College Avenue. And the audio version will be available on SoundCloud, which is usually the audio version goes up first. On SoundCloud, just type in College Avenue. And also on Google Play and iTunes. And we shall see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye-bye.